I might say something kind of controversial in this video, so I'm low-key hoping most of you will scroll past this one. That isn't meant to be a form of reverse psychology, just keep scrolling. One pair of twin films that I bring up a lot in conversation is Steve McQueen's 2018 film Widows and Andrea Berloff's 2019 film The Kitchen. Both of these movies are about the law-abiding wives of criminals who get involved in some criminal activity once their husbands are gone. As the title suggests, the husbands in Widows are dead. In The Kitchen, they're in prison. Widows is based on a British TV series from the 80s, and it has one of my favorite ensemble casts. You've got Viola Davis, Michelle Rodriguez, Elizabeth Debicki, Cynthia Erivo, Colin Farrell, Brian Tyree Henry, Daniel Kaluuya, Jackie Weaver, Carrie Coon, Robert Duvall, and Liam Neeson. The Kitchen is based on a comic book series and stars Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, and Elizabeth Moss. The reason why I bring up these movies a lot is that this is my go-to example of how just because a movie was directed by a woman, that doesn't automatically make it a feminist triumph, and how a movie isn't less feminist just because it was directed by a man. I'm gonna get off topic for a bit, but last year I noticed a few female film critics being very critical and nitpicky about one of the movies that I thought was one of the most feminist films of the year, and it very much felt like they were going out of their way to find reasons to hate it because it was directed by a man. I don't have a problem with people hating a movie I love, but their critiques really felt like they were grasping at straws. But what bothered me more was that those same film critics praised a movie that was directed by a woman that I didn't think was feminist at all. In fact, I had to Google it to remind myself that it was directed by a woman because I just kept thinking, this person hates women. I mean, women are also capable of hating women, but anyway, this sort of thing happens a lot. When men make feminist films, I feel like they're heavily scrutinized and people look for ways to argue that they're actually misogynistic. And I always want to support female filmmakers, but if their movie feels hateful towards women or the feminism feels phony, I'm going to call it out. And that's how I felt about The Kitchen. If you made me watch Widows and The Kitchen without any context, didn't tell me who directed them, and then told me to guess which one was directed by a woman and which one was directed by a man, I would have guessed Widows was directed by a woman. Granted, Steve McQueen wrote the screenplay for Widows with Gillian Flynn, but The Kitchen felt like a forced attempt at female empowerment. The dialogue, music, everything was on the nose, and the characters were so one-dimensional. When people talk about strong female characters, I feel like they take the word strong a little too literally. So a common misconception is that a strong female character is one that's tough and independent and can defend herself and is a total badass. But a strong female character is one that's well written, and the characters in Widows are fully fleshed out and flawed, so they feel real. Needless to say, I was a fan of Widows and I wasn't a fan of The Kitchen. But if you saw both of these movies, let me know which one you prefer.